Special editions, trims, and packages have been offered since the 60s, maybe even the 50s. They are still very popular to this day. A more recent example is the Porsche 911 Sally Special. Really neat idea, but only one was ever made. The PT Cruiser, on the other hand, had a Woody and Route 66 edition, both of which had at least 1,000 examples. There is a Bon Jovi Golf edition, a 7-Up Mustang edition. There are so many. Then there are limited time offerings. For example, the Lincoln LS had an optional manual for the first few years. The Ford Tempo could be optioned with all-wheel drive for a limited time, and that's exactly how this series works. I do my research and try to find some of the strangest or obscure additions, trims, and packages that have been offered. This time, I'm featuring the Chrysler Corporation, and if you'd like to check out other brands, there is an entire playlist dedicated to this series. If you're new, first, thank you for tuning in, and second, the layout in which I will be presenting will be in chronological order, starting in 1977 and ending in 2008. With all of that said, here are some of the strangest additions from the Chrysler Corporation. We begin with the thumbnail, which is a 1977 Dodge Power Wagon Top Hand Edition. To the right of it is a 77 Plymouth Trail Duster Top Hand Edition. First of all, these look absolutely amazing. Everything you see is in fact factory. And I'll get into the specifics here shortly, but first, a little bit of context. The Dodge Dude came out in 1970 and was sort of this sport trim package for the D100 half-ton. It was groundbreaking because it was pushing its boundaries into muscle car territory in terms of looks, not quite performance just yet. We have to remember that trucks were mainly meant for work and work only. There are of course some exceptions. The Dude set the basis for what would soon evolve into the company's adult toy lineup, sort of similar to what they did a decade prior with the whole Dodge Fever campaign. Anyway, there were a few different packages, the most memorable being the Warlock, Street Van, Ram Charger, and Macho Power Wagon. Vic Hickey, an off-roading legend who's notable for his involvement with the Humvee, said, "Let's add another package to the lineup." The top hand option was available on any Mopar truck that could have the Macho Power Wagon package. So that would include certain pickups, Ram Chargers, and Trail Dusters. I don't believe this was a dealer add-on, at least the first go-around for this package. I think there was a set amount sent over to Vic Hickey and his team. I have no clue how many Ram Chargers were built. From what I've found, there were about 200 Power Wagons and one Trail Duster that received the makeover. There is a chance that there are around 200 units built between both the Power Wagon and Ram Charger. I also have no clue how much this package was, and that's sometimes how it goes when I make these videos since there's not much information out there on these low production editions. There were a few additional options that consumers could add on, such as bed rails, a winch, folding steps, and my favorite, rear tire and water carrier. On top of that, the very time-accurate striping and graphic design, brush guard, bigger tires, even graphics on the wheels themselves. I've never seen that before. I'm sure some upgraded suspension, maybe lift, and some interior touches. These are very cool trucks, and if anyone would like to fill in my missing gaps, feel free to drop a comment down below. I believe the correct term is captive imports. One of the vehicles was the first-gen Mitsubishi Lancer, aka the Dodge Colt and Plymouth Arrow. What's strange is Plymouth around this time also had another Arrow in their lineup, but was a compact truck, another captive import. Anyway, Plymouth decided to spice up the Arrow and add some packages or trims to it. There was the Jet, GS, GT, and the feature in this video, the Aerojet. On screen is the actual advertisement for the Aerojet package in the 1978 Plymouth sales brochure. Zooming in on the text, it says that this package is limited to the basic Aero 2-door, meaning they didn't get the bigger engine nor the 5-speed manual. Instead, they received a 1.6-liter good for 77 horsepower made into a 3-speed manual. These were very light vehicles, so I'm sure they did alright for the time, but nothing to write home about. The idea was that the customer could add any of the 12 decals to their Plymouth Arrow. A fuel decal, hot exhaust decal, caution restricted area decal, a no step decal, which has to be the dumbest of them all. It was essentially a sticker package. Okay, well, there were a few other additions like the two-tone paint, dual black mirrors and bumpers, but still, just cosmetic changes. Here's the thing, doing this to a car in 2024 would be embarrassing, but this was the late 70s, and as we saw from the previous entry, things were a lot different. For instance, in that same brochure, consumers could add a tent to their Plymouth Arrow. Moving into the 90s with the Jeep Grand Cherokee Orvis edition, which was only offered from 1995 until 1997. I'll be completely honest, this trim or package isn't that interesting, so if you like to skip over, there are timestamps in the description. Orvis is a pretty upscale brand, nothing like Gucci, Chrome Hearts, or Pill Blast that have been on some other cars, but more like North Face and Eddie Bauer. It being a Jeep, the Orvis collaboration worked well with one another, that adventurous, outdoorsy type of person, and the add-ons and advertisements will reflect this. The Orvis package in 97 was around $6,000 more than a base Grand Cherokee, which in today's money is almost 12 grand. That's a lot of money for a package, so what did you get? They came standard with the 5.2 liter V8, but optional was the bulletproof inline 6. As we can see from this photo, a good amount of people opted for the less powerful engine. Really goes to show how great this engine was, and if I were to buy one of these today, I'd prefer it as well. Another addition to the Orvis package was the unique moss green color. I think it looks good, and for 97 only, light driftwood was an option. Adding to the exterior were Orvis badges, gold trim, tow hooks, and side stripe accents, and that's pretty much it. I may be missing something though. The interior is what you're paying for. Two-tone leather seats, red accent striping, Orvis insignia, standard opening rear liftgate glass, wood grain accents, storage nets behind the seats, Orvis floor mats, and they came standard with a lot of the options. Additionally, they came standard with upcountry suspension, that's a nice touch, trailer tow prep package, and Quadra-Track 4-wheel drive. The Orvis package was optional on the limited trim, and adding it would make it the most expensive Grand Cherokee until 98 when the 5.9 Limited was introduced. The last entry, and this might be disappointing for some of you guys, but it's the 2008 Sebring and Avenger. Apparently, for 2008 only, limited Sebring models and Avenger RT models came optional with all-wheel drive. Not often will you see an automaker introduce an entirely new drivetrain option just for it to be dropped the following year. For the Avenger, it made up 1.5% of 2008 sales, and for the Sebring, it made up 0.7% of 2008 sales, which translates to about 900 Avengers and 500 Sebrings with all-wheel drive. The Avenger RT wasn't that bad of a car, 235 horsepower, 232 pound-feet of torque with all-wheel drive seems alright. The Sebring, on the other hand, with its refresh from 2007, it's not really a car for me. What's a little bit more interesting is the Sebring TSI, which I featured in a previous video. Those are alright. And then the Sebrings with the Mitsubishi Eclipse platform, the two doors, those were pretty neat, I guess. But this generation Sebring is, I hate it. The all-wheel drive system gave these cars worse fuel economy compared to the front-wheel drive counterparts. They were stupid expensive, and Ford had optional all-wheel drive on the Fusion and Milan, which were the far better domestic options. And there you have it, some weird or bizarre additions from the Chrysler Corporation. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, and if you aren't already subscribed, click that button and help me reach my 50K goal. As some of you are aware, I recently was involved in a car accident, and that is why this video is delayed. Thankfully, everyone involved is okay, and at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. As for Blue, my 2013 Q7 TDI, she's unfortunately totaled, and it definitely hurts. I said my goodbyes a couple of days ago as I record this. Some of you guys were shocked by my personal vehicle, and I totally understand that. I've hardly even mentioned Audi on this channel, and yet that's what I was driving. I love diesels. The Q7 has all-wheel drive, the Quattro system. They ride smoothly. It only had 50,000 miles on it. And of course, the Bird wanted a bigger car, so I thought it was a neat option. With that said, I'll keep you updated on whatever car I choose to buy. It may be a few months until I come up with the money. Enough of my personal drama. Thank you all so much for making it to this point. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week, and I will try to see you all next week.